Hey guys, and welcome to Nomadic Dimitri channel. Today we're going to talk about operating systems on mobile devices. And I mean, it's pretty much a depressing talk today, right? Because the main reason is that there's just basically just two options available on the market. It's either Android or iOS, just two options. To my surprise, many people actually fine with iOS. They're like totally fine with being able to just use whatever it was provided to them, and they just don't want to modify anything, they just don't want to change anything. They're like totally fine with that. And I'm like, alright, this is totally fine. But since it's a tech channel, guys, I just wanted to talk about other options that are available on the market. In terms of Android, many people are confusing two things. Typically, Android is either some custom firmware provided by manufacturer, something like Samsung custom firmware for the phones, or like Motorola custom firmware for the phones. And many people think this is actually Android, but in reality, Android is just something like different. Android is typically something what's called Android Open Source Project, AOSP, and this is actually what I have installed on my phone right here. This phone is a Moto G5, which is like a phone that was released back in 2017, and it's no longer maintained. You cannot actually install anything modern on this device right here. But here, I mean, I have installed AOSP and I have Android 11 installed right here, and it just works very nice, very smooth, and I can actually install whatever I want here. There's like the main reason why I like this operating system, like Android overall, is that on Android we still like able to customize stuff a lot. Even like manufacturers are trying to like basically boil it down, just lock it the way they want, remove so much customization and just like ship whatever they want. But if we talk about something like provided by AOSP or Lineage OS, there are like possibly like two main actually custom firmware available, like AOSP, which is like stock Android, which I have right here, and Lineage OS, which is almost as well like almost a stock Android but with some additional stuff. And there's also Pixel Experience firmware. Pixel Experience is basically installing something modern on your phone, like really modern, like latest versions of Android. But Pixel Experience just has the main goal is just like having whatever Google provides, basically like Google custom firmware, but on like all devices. This is what's called Pixel Experience. I actually installed right here Moto G5 and I didn't like it. The reason is bloatware, basically. I mean, I'm totally fine with Google applications, well, more or less, but when we talk about kind of customizations, it's really locked down. And here, I mean, what I have right here is basically everything that I have installed right here is actually what I wanted. There's nothing that I didn't want it here. For example, NewPipe is basically a kind of open source kind of engine for the YouTube. You don't even need to sign in, nothing. Then VLC, of course, is my favorite media player. Like VLC is just like the best media player, I mean, of all times, I guess. Whatever you want, it actually is gonna play like just fine. Like video files, audio files, and all that. This is like my favorite applications. And DuckDuckGo is basically the web browser, and we can open DuckDuckGo. And that's it, basically. We can just use the web the way we want. It's not a Chrome, because Chrome actually has all the stuff, all like synchronization, like additional stuff there, and DuckDuckGo actually the one is focused on privacy, which I really like, guys. The privacy is the main reason for me to install those kind of custom firmware. Instead of the Google Photos, we have Gallery here. Well, because Google Photos is nice. Again, it synchronized stuff around the web. It just synchronizes stuff with the cloud, but not all people actually like it. So that kind of stuff, you know. And of course, when we talk about installing specific applications, I use the F-Droid. F-Droid is basically like a store for installing open source applications on your phone. I actually like it. I actually like the F-Droid because it's all sorted by categories. You can install whatever you want. It even has some development stuff. It has lots of development stuff, actually, like lots of applications here for development available. I just have Hex Viewer and Termux, and actually need to upgrade those. It's really powerful stuff. You can actually install the F-Droid on your regular phone, so it's not like it's limited only for those kind of custom firmware phones. It's just available for everything. But since this one is basically like a stock experience of Android, I just want to have everything basically set up like open source kind of style. That's why I just prefer this one. And of course, my favorite application here is a terminal. Terminal is just like super cool, guys, because just check it out. I type MC here and it actually launches like Midnight Commander, like here right on my device. And you know, guys, it's my favorite kind of application on Linux systems, so that's why. I mean, it's totally cool. I actually like it a lot. Of course, you can also install packages like this. For example, you can say package search, and what about, again, let's type MC, and then it just checks basically all the repositories here, and it's gonna say, okay, let's see, it just takes a while to basically sync up all the stuff. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff available. MC Midnight Commander, MEM cached, MI Man, some video game, I don't know, so a bunch of stuff basically here. And I even have installed some kind of tools like that, basically HTOP. So you just guessed, I mean, it's basically like a Linux system in your pocket, basically. If we talk about like accessing the root of the file system, I can just go to the root and I can explore stuff around here. As you can see, just totally fine. So that's why, I mean, I totally love this kind of experience. It's like, it gives me so much more flexibility, additional stuff, and actually feels me like a user, like a driver, like in driver's seat, not somebody else to just like exploring the system, like a users of regular, like specific manufacturer locked phones. Like you are locked basically, you cannot modify anything. That's what I like about those kind of phones. Of course, you should also like shop around and actually find the phones that allow this kind of modifications, guys. It's not like it's available for everything. You just need to shop around. But many phones from the past actually are like capable of just running all that stuff, so just check it out. Maybe your phone actually runs those kind of AOSP, like stock kind of Android experience operating system just fine. Talking about settings, and just check this out. So for example, privacy, I have a permission, I think I have permissions for the location disabled everywhere. Wait, I actually have it enabled. Let's disable this one. So see all, and I think I basically blocked it for all applications. Like whatever application asks, I just block all the location kind of requests, and I also recommend you to do so. Most of the apps don't really need to know your location. If you prefer this kind of tracking 24/7, that's okay, but I actually prefer to disable that kind of stuff. And of course, the main thing about Android, guys, is that accounts, I prefer to not have anything, because as you can see, there are specific toggles that automatically sync app data, and basically it syncs app data and is good, but it also syncs this kind of data with the cloud as well. I mean, if you pick the specific account, if you select specific account, you can actually sync all the data with Google servers like contacts and all that, and totally up to you. I mean, I'm not judging, but I feel like sometimes it's just worth to keep data totally locally. Better to disable that kind of stuff. And to be honest, by default, when you install some specific like manufacturer kind of firmware, all this kind of stuff, all this like tracking, synchronization, cloud kind of stuff, it's all basically enabled, mostly. I mean, it's either enabled or some kind of statistics enabled. For example, on this phone, there's nothing enabled, but on Motorola phones, like when I type Motorola, like Moto, yeah, Moto Actions actually, yes. So Moto Actions, this one, for example, is enabled, but I think I was able to disable it at some point on my other phone. There's so many services available from the Moto that I disabled all those, but in this case, for some reason, the disable button is not available. But I totally recommend you to basically go around and check all the applications installed on your device, and just explore all your apps, and just think for yourself, like what apps you actually want to be syncing all the data, like actually enabled and running like constantly on your phone, or which one you just want to disable. So for example, the contacts right here, I mean, I don't really use those, so how about I'm just gonna disable it. As you can see, it's just like disable, and storage, it says just some kind of data used. Let's just clear this, and let's clear the storage. Of course, I understand that many people like not really able to use the phone with all this kind of stuff disabled, but the more stuff you actually customized and disabled, like the more you feel like you are in total control. Like not in total control, but more or less in some kind of control, because these things are just like totally out of control right now, in my opinion. Like all the apps are just syncing data continuously. They just like everything is going around, flying around, and I'm like, this is not really great kind of experience. Like for me, I don't like that. So this is all about those kind of phones with the custom firmware, guys. It basically allows you to feel like a user, like a driver of your own phone. I mean, I prefer this kind of totally like stock experience. I'm not sure about you, because this video was just made in an effort basically to show you that it's possible to use your phone in a different way. And this is like my experimental phone actually right here. This phone is actually quite, I mean, I just basically did that like a week ago to install this one. I also have another phone, and I was not able to find the custom firmware for the specific phone. It's Moto G Power 2021, and that's why I basically just disabled all the services that I don't need, like all the Moto services. And this way I feel like I'm in a better control of my system. So that's why I recommend you to basically just explore stuff and see what you can disable. But guys, I should warn you that some stuff is not actually working the way it's intended after you like disable the services. Like Google applications are known for that. For example, if you disable one service, the apps that are relying to those services not gonna work fine. They're gonna just like be like some kind of glitchy states, some part of functionality is not gonna work, stuff like that basically. So in these cases, of course, you need to think for yourself, do you actually need this kind of application or not? Like, are you ready just to install some kind of open source alternative, or you just really need this application? It's all up to you. So notifications are really the part of the apps which is known to not work correctly after you disable stuff around. unfortunately. So like, for example, the Firebase is typically all based on the Firebase kind of engine, like Google engine, and once you disable that kind of functionality, it just stops syncing data, stops working, and that kind of sense, and notifications are not appearing. That's the problem actually. But I mean, there are also like solutions for that as well, and many apps are just using some alternative ways of displaying notifications. They don't need exactly to use the Firebase, but yeah, the Firebase is actually like the preferred method of applications to actually send notification data to your phone. I actually love those simple apps, guys. I mean, for example, like this one, Simple Note, and like it's so cool, just like totally totally to the point. You just type stuff, and like in the phone actually the way it works is just much faster and just consumes much less battery. That's what I like about it, because all the services that's enabled, it typically like basically burns down your battery like really fast, and with all the simple applications like that, it's gonna be much better. Also guys, one thing I want to talk about is the keyboard. By default on many phones the Gboard is used, like Google keyboard. It's all good and nice again, but some people prefer some kind of open source solutions. And for example, here I have OpenBoard installed instead of this one, and it also like runs and works really good. I feel like it's actually better in that kind of sense. It's faster, I mean, simple, very simple and nice. Alright guys, so I totally recommend you checking out all this custom firmware for your phone, and maybe it's actually worth it. So you never know, like maybe you're gonna love it much more than your like manufacturer kind of firmware, because maybe it just like runs faster, nicer and more smooth. But I should warn you about the risks as well. Sometimes when you flash the new kind of firmware, sometimes you may break your phone. You never know, so like it might actually break your warranty in many ways, so you never know. So better to just check around and see how other people are dealing with those kind of stuff on other forums, and just like and see for yourself how it works. So guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and see you soon. Alright, thank you guys, and bye bye.